This is Muster, a painting coach built for the miniature hobby. Start with the finish that you're looking for. It could be a manufacturer box art, a competition piece, a bust, a vehicle, or your own color study. Muster reads the target palette and finds the close paint matches across brands, so the recipe is not tied to one product line. Keeping in mind this reference art here is a generic painted armor bust used for this scripted tour. Usually you would be using either the actual box art or a picture of a target that you're trying to emulate. So here in the work in progress, you're actually going to add a photo of the model that's sitting on your desk. Studio identifies the subject of the material, then compares the current paint job with the target. Here, the armor and cloth sit in a narrow value range, the light direction is unclear, and a few of the teal panels show patchy coverage. Now that we're on the coaching pane, the result is not a score. Each note shows the visual evidence, the next brush stroke, and the technique to use. Deepen the joins, move the brightest teal upward, restore purple to the cloth highlights, and correct the uneven panels with two thin coats. Muster turns that advice into a reusable paint plan. It can check the plan against your current paint rack and tools, suggest substitutes you already own, teach the needed techniques, and show what's still missing. The reference can also be saved and applied to an entire force. Now let's actually show, using your own model. So I'm just going to use my computer camera. Hello, let's bring over a guy that I'm working on. Pretty standard ultramarine captain, like everyone's probably painted a million of. We've got it coded so that it focuses primarily on the foreground. My sprites are going to run around and evaluate the actual picture that's taken, and this is what we find. So using box art as a coaching mode, we know that I need to widen my value range because everything's too solid. It makes sense. Not a whole lot of value range in that, pretty solid looking armor. Also, the highlights are going to chalky and the need to thin the paints. It also gives you a breakdown of zone by zone, so what I need to do to fix the blue, as well as the orange-brown area, which is actually the skin. It gives you the extracted palette, so the paints that were used in each one. And these are all correct. I use Ultramarine Blue and Deep Blue, as well as Xandri Earth and Rakoth Flesh from these brands, so that's a good example. And then when it comes to identification, it gives you a couple different kind of standardized painting plans. And lo and behold, Primaris Captain is actually the one that was being followed. One note that I want to add is that all of these uploads are not actually kept. They are destroyed. The preview lives in the screen and then it dies when you leave. It's all device specific. There is some ability to, using the Pro plan, to create, a cloud mode where images that you choose to save are shared for things like in Force Builder and whatnot, but that's all image to image specific, and we're trying to avoid anything like, my, the side of my face being saved here for posterity. So that's what's there so far. Thanks for taking a look. Seeing as you're still here, let's take a look at the live app now and just show a little bit more of what can actually be achieved. So we're going to go back and pull up my guy. We'll take a quick picture here. So now that we know that this captain was pulled, look at everything that's still there. So all of these are actually correct, although it did get this Prussian blue wrong. That was not correct here. So one of the things that I would like to do is go through what happens when you do something like this, where you have these extracted palettes. So we know that we have Drakenhof Nightshade, that's in my rack. Blue Tone, that one is actually in my rack as well. So brown leather from scale 75. Earth tone was actually used. and say black metal. That one's not there. That's a rack. All right, so we're going to go back to my rack itself and show what I've actually got, right? So these are a bunch of the paints that we have been using, kind of across the board. So as I've taken pictures, I've added them as they've been things that we've actually used. If there's something that I'm missing, like say back from studio, we could have added, any of those, but they start showing up. We've also done it to where it's add paints. So if we want to add something that we own or wish list, any of that's there. You can search by range, brand, etc. Vallejo, Army Painter, Scale 75, Pro Acryl, etc. Right, so I know that I have a bunch of these, so I'm going to click own, 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 etc. Right, and so now they all show up in my rack as things that I have, and we can go across and create themes with them. And so that exists, right? We also have our library where we can go through and pick through each one of our techniques that we want to learn. And we can always go and watch the videos on them as well. So inside the Army tab, I'm building up my Ultramarines. We can pick up our, we can add a unit, pick what we want. We'll say, I want to add some assault intercessors. And then we can have the actual paints that are brought down below. We can wish list them all if we need them and add them that way. Let's see. Finally, I want to show you guys the workshop. So this is where we write reviews on items that we actually use. So I was part of the Red Grass Games desk lamp Kickstarter. Best lighting I've ever seen. They're excellent. Ignore the glare that you saw on my Mini today. They weren't set up, and that's on me. But also, I had a tankless compressor that I actually really didn't like. It didn't do what I wanted it to do. And so passing along that type of information, I think, would be really useful. We can go to, brushes, lamps, airbrushes, whatever, right? So finally, join the community. It'll just bring up the app to do it. So here we are. You're inside the workshop feed at the moment, but we also have, where you can, drop right into choosing your roles of the systems that you'd like to follow. I'm a big 40K and Sigmar player, as well as Battletech and Dungeons & Dragons. So those were what I picked. And then I will be able to get updates when any of you join and start talking to me. So hope to see you guys around.